let me show you how to bring Scrivenings to Obsidian. First, you go to Settings down here, then to Community Plugins. I'm not starting this recording over. In textFlow, search for it. Here you have it. Install and enable. Now textFlow needs Dataview to work, so we install this and enable this too. And then if you want to use embedded flows, it's helpful if you also install sync embeds here, which will allow you to directly edit into embedded things. So we got it all installed, we got it all activated. Now textFlow needs a system folder where it stores your flows and any backups that you make of your flow definitions. Let's create that. As you see, nothing happened here. That's because the flow is hidden, the folder is hidden by default. You can make it visible in the settings later, but first let's make our first flow. The easiest way to create a flow is right-click, define from folder. I'll explain all these things later. Let's save this first and also make a second. Save this too. Now, this is the flow switcher. It's by default, it's in the what's it called in English? Status bar. But you can put it in other places if you like. Now, this opens your flow and shows your open tabs. You can switch between tabs here. It shows which region is active. Let's close that. And the coolest thing, the thing I like most about this switcher is you can, bam, open another flow directly in a split. So this is pretty handy. Let's close this. Flows have a menu bar. You can make this tiny if you don't want to see it. It turns into this tiny little chevron. And the reason why I don't allow to hide this menu bar completely is because textFlow needs some things to work. You hear me typing, you see nothing is happening. You see here's something that you can see. This is an example of an invisible UUID. It's made of the zero widths characters and non-break spaces and mathematical connection thingies. Characters that are not printable, so they don't distract you in your flow. But these need to be write protected, because if you accidentally delete some of this or type something into this, the tracking won't work. Now, tracking is necessary because the plugin needs to know where in the flow you are. So here, boom, it knows that you are here because it found the UUID at the end of this region. And if you click into a different region, it changes up here. It also changes here. You can also navigate. It's always, always. This feature depends on the focus being on the flow leaf, and focus is a bit fickle, so it works for a bit and then it stops working. But for once, if you click here and then there, it works. Yeah. But you can use this drop down if the focus thing is too annoying. Now, since textFlow tracks what you're doing, it also knows when you edit. And here you see it notices you edited, and you can save, and then you will see, open to the right, that your blah was transferred over, copied over to the source node. if you remove it from the source node and then go into your flow, bam, you saw this little bam of purple here. That was the flow realizing, or rather textFlow realizing that the flow was had changes to be copied over, and so they were copied over, and as you see they are identical again. I have a shortcut set up for this. There's a lot of shortcuts you can set up for textFlow. As you see, sync all leaves is up here. Toggle Explorer navigation, restore position, a lot of stuff that's useful is, or that you might use more often, has a command. This is the cursor position drop down. Here, each time you save the, as you see here, new position, save. New position is saved only once per region, so this doesn't get too long. Yeah, but this makes it so that if you close Obsidian and then open it again, it will magically return to where you were, which I think is a wonderful feature, and I love it. So yeah, if the flow is open or has been opened in other leaves, these positions are also available. That's because if you close this now and open it again, it will be, I don't know why this doesn't work again, but it will be open in a different flow, so in a different leaf, so the positions that you saved in the last leaf are visible here, and you can still use them to go around if you want to return to a region where you were before. So this button allows you to select an entire region if you want to copy it out or replace it, and this button makes an export. I had already had one here, but this is without the UUIDs, without any tracking, without anything. This is just a completely normal file, normal node. This is also a normal node, but textFlow knows that it's a flow and does all the attaching of compartments and tracking and stuff. So, did I explain this completely? No, I don't allow this menu bar to be completely gone, because it checks when it's set up, it checks if all compartments or tracking has been set up correctly, and if it's not, there will be a little warning triangle, so you can see that your flow hasn't been set up correctly, tracking doesn't work correctly, so you can reopen it and troubleshoot and don't risk losing any data. All right, next, we have, now you understand this setting, menu bar default, if you want it expanded or collapsed, depending on your taste. The flow switcher modal, you can, it's default, by default it's in the status bar, but you can also put it in the ribbon or only access it via the command palette. Another way to navigate your flows is the fuzzy navigation modal. This is basically like the quick switcher modal, but you have some down here, you see, you have some qualifiers for your searches. So if you type a question mark first, you will only get results for the flow that's in the active leaf. So geht's, you can skip there. Or if you put in an asterisk, you will only see results for the flow that's not currently open, and for some reason the skipping to a specific region doesn't work when you first open it. I had it working, it stopped working. I don't know why, but yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Oops. Stuff stops working. And also, last, if you input a colon, you can skip. You will see only complete flows. So that's, I guess, useful for navigation. I don't use modals for navigation often, so I more or less guessed what would be useful. Now, Explorer decoration, you saw these little dots here, these little buttons next to the active flow. And here you can choose which, you can turn them off if you want, but you can also choose any of a huge number of symbols. I went through the entire, it's Unicode table and picked out everything that I thought maybe might be useful, might fit for some project or novel or PhD or whatever. Let's use the hearts. I like the hearts. And then the background accent, the color that shows which region you are currently in. That you can turn it off. You can background accent color is what I use most. You can use the muted text color, or you can put an outline or just an arrow symbol if you want it minimalistic. And here we have additional settings. You can turn off navigation via File Explorer. I can't really demonstrate it because I screwed up my Alt key when using Keyed to remap my keyboard. But usually if you click Alt, even with the navigation via File Explorer active, you can select stuff as per usual. This doesn't work because I screwed up my keyboard. This should work. What will not work is really will not work quite as usual is selection with Shift. As you see, it goes up, but then it doesn't quite know where to start the selection. So if you want your selection to work correctly, you can turn off this. There's a command. So if you want to toggle back and forth, you can set a shortcut. This setting to hide the scroll bar, this is for me because I don't want to go look for a theme that has this or do CSS snippets, and this is my plugin, so I can put into it whatever the fuck I want. Leave it on hide only in flows for now because I'm going to need it later. Check for external edits. This is, since flows need textFlow as a context to work correctly, to be tracked, to protect the UUIDs and everything. So outside of your computer, your desktop or laptop, where this plugin works, you should never ever open flows or work around in your flows. But you can do whatever you want in the source nodes. However, if you then have your sync service sync your source nodes back to your computer, textFlow will not know that there were changes to the source nodes and will not know to rebuild a flow to reflect those changes. So what do? We check for external edits, and you can turn it off, of course. If you want to use it, which I suggest, even if you don't think you'll ever need it, I'd still leave it activated. You can use mtime, which is the modification time of, so this is textFlow keeps track and compares. If this gives you too many false positives, you can use mtime plus hash, which means that if the mtime differs, textFlow will check a hash to see if the contents actually differ. And if you're using Git and rolling back stuff, or your sync service is a bit wonky, you can use hash always if you want. Now, here's the toggle. I already showed you the textFlowSystemFolder toggle. And here is the embed toggle, which now you can see embed nodes for this flow. I'll explain what embed flows are a bit later. So now we see the two flows that we already created, and let's edit one of them. If you go and edit, you see you can change the name. You can change if you want folder or bookmark group titles displayed in your flow. And here you can, let's actually make a flow with subfolders. So this is actually useful. Let us, as you see, what we, oh no, it went away. Why did it went away? Go away. I don't know. It should have stayed. Whatever. Oh, because we created a new flow and this emptied the. Okay, I see. No, if you go out of here and return, it's still there. But we built a flow in between, and they use the same object, and it doesn't matter. Here you can see there's a preview button that gives you a preview of what's included in your flow with the titles. If we turn them off, you can see that there are no titles, but let's keep them on to include. Here we can go and say we just want aussehen. Just include this, so we have just included this. Or we can exclude this. If you do this, you get an error, empty flow. So let's do this. Preview, and here you can see the first aussehen, the first folder wasn't included. If we do this, it will also lead to an empty flow. No, oh, because I have one file in this highest level folder. So yes, a tag, a slash to exclude subfolders. But you can do the same with tags, with properties. You can look for just if the property exists or if the property has a certain content, a certain value. If you want more complex logic, you can create your flow from a Dataview Query. It has to be in list form, that's why this is already here, but the rest is completely up to you. This understands the exact same logic as any Dataview Query block. It just needs to be in list form. Then we have bookmark groups, which is, you enter a group, bookmark group. If you want to be able to have the same tags, properties, criteria here, let me know and I might implement it. So far I'm of the opinion that I used to be of the opinion that if you have a bookmark group it's already curated, but I learned that some people use plugins to sort their stuff in File Explorer, and then they have bookmarks that aren't really sorted or aren't really curated to be really bookmarks, but rather a sorting aid. Yes. So next thing, since we have something with a super folder, let's do the, or with the highest, with content in the top level folder, let's change the sort order. Just to remind you, this is what it looks like here. For the plugins, this is the main folder. it's shown at the bottom because in File Explorer, the files that are directly inside this main folder are at the very bottom. But if you set sorting order to folders, what you will see is, bam, now it's at the very top. So this, you have to decide which you prefer, which sort order you prefer. This is, yeah, it's up to you, but depending on if you have a flat hierarchy or a deep hierarchy, folders or nodes may be better. Now I have this still turned off. Let's save this. But now that embeds are activated, you see in this menu bar you have a new entry. This allows you to rebuild your flow in a different form, which happens rather quickly. This has upsides and downsides. Let's open this so I can demonstrate this is the bam. The upsides of an embed flow are that, let me open this, open to the right. This here is basically just another editor instance. So if I type here, you see it shows up right there, and if I type here, it shows up right there. This is basically the same when you open a node into different windows, into different tabs. It's the same thing, just displayed in a different place. So this is an advantage. You don't have any data duplication here, because this is just a reference to this file and not a copy of the contents of this file. You also can edit the properties of your node right here, because they are here. You can still search, as I recently learned, Drachenmagie, within this thing, because it's just an editor. The downside is that if you go out of here and you want to search in your, I don't know why it skips to the bottom when I do a search. This happened before. Now it needs a moment to catch its breath. Come on, load. There we go. You see, it doesn't find this because the find function cannot look inside these editors. The same is for I still don't have it here, but the same is true for the outline plugin. It cannot see inside your embeds. So this is a limitation. I don't know if there is a way around this. I guess it's up to the person who creates the sync embed flow to find out if this can be implemented. But so if you return to the normal thing. Oh, also if you export a flow that is in the embed state, it's still the same result as if you were to export it while it's in this state. Now, and if we go here and do find Drachenmagie, there we go. We have one result for Drachenmagie. Oh, Drachen kommen häufiger vor. Interesting. More than one mention of dragons. So yeah, but for this functionality, this is the better approach. But since it's easy to switch, you can switch back and forth. You just need to save in between. So let's say we go find Drachen. Let's turn whoops, let's turn Drachenmagie into Raketenwissenschaft. And let's sync. We synced it, and now we make this. Oh, again, this phenomenon. Load, load, load. And here we have it. Raketenwissenschaft. Yes, so I think, was that everything? This went faster. I already did this in German and it took me a very long time. This felt rather quickly. Oh, yes, the backups. You can create a backup. This is textFlow dev backup JSON. It will be created in your textFlow folder. If you haven't set up Obsidian to also show files that cannot be opened by Obsidian directly, you won't see this in your textFlow system folder, but it's there. You can see it if you go with your system file browser. Yeah, so here we have our saved definitions. You have two options, well, three. You can replace an existing definition. If you do that, whatever you have done here will be replaced with the older version. You can save as a new definition, and that's, if you click twice, it gets unselected. Let's do that. And you can delete backups, which will happen if you click OK. And now you see, here we have the time-stamped old version. The flow definition itself is still there. We just deleted the backup. As you see, the backup definition is gone. Yes, you can also delete definitions, of course. This will also delete the flow file. If you want to keep the flow file, you have to copy it out of the textFlow system folder. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy my plugin. I hope you find it useful. And if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, also, there are still some... Why would you want to be rebuilt? There are still some things, some features that I am considering adding. If you want any of these, let me know. I am currently not very motivated to implement these, but requests will motivate me, I guess. So you can comment under this video or post a feature request on GitHub to give me a gentle kick in the butt to maybe implement some of these. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can post them here on YouTube or GitHub too. And I hope my little talk wasn't too hard to follow. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.